Welcome to the Creative Writing Podcast. The theme of this episode is light. You'll need a pen and paper or the notes app on your phone or a blank screen. The first few minutes will be a writing warm-up, and then I'll talk a very little bit about why I chose the topic and why the session is interesting for writers. And then in this episode, we'll get to the main writing exercise, which will be 8 different prompts. During the writing exercises, I'll speak about every 2 to 5 minutes to give you the chance to concentrate. And towards the end of the main exercise, I'll give you a chance to press pause. And so if you want to spend a little bit of extra time with any of the writing exercises, then obviously you are welcome to do so. So let's begin by imagining a place you know well. It can be from your imagination, or it might be where you live, and you're simply going to spend a few minutes describing it. We're looking for somewhere with lots to describe, so a crossroads, a market square, a busy street, somewhere with a few buildings and a few objects. Though, of course, you could have a very busy place if you wanted. You can go Piccadilly Circus, that's also fine. So I like to give you the chance just to jump straight in. Let's just take 6 or 7 minutes describing a place, real or imagined, that you know well. Off you go. And if you began this place by describing something far away, perhaps move to the objects and buildings closest to you. Or if you started with what's right in front of your nose, then maybe look into the distance. So we have quite a wide range in this setting that we're describing. And now you can begin to finish the thought that you are on. Maybe bring your work to the end of a sentence. The rest of today's writing prompts are also going to take place in this setting. So I'd advise you not to press pause now, even if you do have more to say, but keep your thoughts and ideas for the rest of the session. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. Before we do, let's just pause and think about the nature of light. It's both practical when we're writing and it can be metaphorical. So we can see the light, come to an understanding of a profound new truth. It's interesting that in cartoons and graphic novels, a new idea is often symbolized by a light bulb going on above somebody's head. So it can be used to represent a new idea, a new journey. There are all sorts of symbolic aspects to the idea of a dawn, a new beginning. But also, light creates shadows, and without light, there's really no fear of the dark. So, it's interesting, I think, when we're writing, really intentionally thinking about the light our characters are experiencing, that there are these metaphorical and symbolic elements going on behind that, but at the same time, working with practical light, I think, can be really interesting. So have a quick read back of your warm-up exercise. You probably haven't managed to evoke a really detailed, complex place because I literally didn't give you enough time. But see if you can tell in your writing where the light is coming from and what the quality of the light is. I didn't prompt you to think deeply about that before we began, so you may have defaulted to something like a broadly sunny day where everything is visible. But this can make a setting actually a little bit flat and a little bit bland. So I'm going to invite you to play with that a little, and I'm going to give you 8 prompts, one about every 3 to 4 minutes, that change the light in this place. And we'll just have a play with that descriptive writing. So imagine a character in the place that you have described. They are waiting for someone else to arrive. I'd like you to describe the same place, but now it is in blinding sunlight. I want you to turn that brightness up as far as you can imagine. So we'll just take 4 or 5 minutes with that. The same place you've been describing, real or imagined, but now the sunshine is as bright as it can possibly be. And press pause if you need a couple more moments with that prompt. But otherwise, I'd like you to imagine that the storm clouds come rolling in and everything begins to get murky. Your character can't move, they're going to stay in this place waiting, and their attention is still mostly on their environment and all the things happening around them. So storm clouds roll in and things begin to get murky and grey. And if you need a couple of more moments with that one, do press pause. But otherwise, the storm clouds roll away and they leave behind a soft evening light. Have a think about the corners of buildings, the quality of stone on pavements. Does your character find the place more friendly or more aggressive as the day turns into the evening? Once again, press pause if you need 2 more minutes there. If not, have a think about the street lamps coming on. They will create pools of light and darker corners. How does that affect the people and objects and buildings that your character is close to and those in the distance? It may at this point also get a little colder, or perhaps it gets suddenly a lot colder if you're in a desert climate. So now the street lamps come on. Your character is still there observing these pools of light and dark. And if you need more moments, then press pause. But in our scene, all the street lamps will now go out. There's a power cut. And in this place, your character is left by the bright light of a very full moon, but certainly not the same as the street lamps. and press pause if you want more time. But if not, imagine that the clouds roll over again, obliterating the light of the moon. Now your character is in the same place they have been all day, but in the pitch black. Their night blindness or their night sight will begin to develop, and perhaps they'll rely on their other senses as they continue to wait in this space. So now allow them just to wait for a moment in the absolute pitch black darkness. And now your character remembers that they can make their own light. So they have something on them like a torch or a candle, perhaps a small oil lamp. Maybe it's been there the whole time, or a side character comes up and gives it to them. So now they begin to walk around this space, shining the light on one thing at a time. And you can go back over everything you've written so far. How do things change when our character looks closely at them by the light of this torch? Think about the texture. Perhaps they've mistaken an object they noticed in the bright sunlight. When they get up close to it, they can discover new things about it. And let them move around in the space you've created as well, so they don't have to stay rooted to the spot. If you need a little longer with that prompt, just press pause. Otherwise, I'd like your character to see the person that they have been waiting for. They see this person coming up to them in the distance. Perhaps that person has their own torch. Let them think a little bit about the time they have spent in this place, waiting. What has the day made them feel? Are they contemplative about what they have experienced? Or perhaps they're simply irritated? But let's move to some internal thoughts. And now for the last prompt. If you like, you can finish with them finally meeting the person they've been waiting for. Each person is in this place in the dark with their torch, and you can carry on with that scene and just see what happens. If you want to do that, hit pause now. Spend as long as you like on that, and we'll move on to the reflection of what we've spent the last half an hour writing. So bring the sentence you're on to a close. And then if there are any key ideas or thoughts about how you might carry on with this piece of writing, then you can just quickly write those down as bullet points. Or you can also just take a breath and begin to read it back. Have a think to yourself if there was a time of day or a type of light which you found very easy to visualize. If so, perhaps setting some of your writing there is a good way in to a piece when you're feeling tired. If you find that the evening always springs to mind, is easy for you to visualize and to put down on paper, then when you need a break and to make your writing easy for you as the writer, then that can be a good way in. Was there one you found almost impossible? Perhaps you will react by avoiding scenes that are set then, or perhaps you'll take that as a challenge to think to yourself, why was the quality of that particular light difficult to get down on paper? If you have a work in progress, is there a passage or a moment which might benefit from changing the time of day or the quality of light? If the clouds are rolling overhead during a particularly important moment in your story, will that change what the characters can see? If there's a time when they're under threat, is it more terrifying to be under threat when it's too blindingly bright to see? Or perhaps when shadows and darkness might help your attackers to conceal themselves? And as always, have a read back and just think to yourself, was there anything in today's writing that you thought was particularly good? Grab a different colour pen, draw around it, highlight it on your screen. It's always useful when we're going back through our notebooks to be reminded of work that we thought was particularly good. Then as we leaf through, we're faced with our triumphs. You might find something in today's writing, an object or a building, or perhaps even a side character or somebody your main character glanced at and dismissed, who actually asks you to write about them some more. Sometimes things can come at us quite tangentially like that. I hope you've enjoyed this piece of descriptive writing. If you want to, of course, you can go back and listen to this podcast again and do exactly the same exercises for a completely different place. And if you do that, then it can be worth contrasting, comparing, seeing if a different time of day elicited a very different style of writing when you attempted it in a different place. I hope you've enjoyed today's session, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.